This is the Bear Country Outdoors Barely a Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Joyce, and with me is James Forsland and Chris Cantrell. Thanks for joining.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another Barely a Podcast. Today we have a special guest, Ted from Caribou Gear.
Yeah, and we are in Ted's booth right now at the Western Hunt Expo.
Caribou Gear's booth?
Yeah, Caribou Gear. So the reason we're in this booth started almost 15 years ago for me. I was in Alaska.
Okay.
I flew in for a moose hunt with a good buddy of mine, a DIY moose hunt, and I had another different brand of game bags, the kind that you could like see through.
Okay.
You know, and it looked like it should be in a baking show and not
like
in the backcountry.
Like a cheesecloth?
Yeah, like a cheesecloth.
Okay.
And I remember talking, my buddy's uncle lives, so we flew into Fairbanks. He lived in North Pole, which is just outside of Fairbanks. Yeah. And he goes, Chris, those are garbage. What are you doing? And I said, okay. And he goes, hey, go to our, I don't know, Sportsman's Warehouse or something. There was a store there. So we go there. And he's like, they got some good game bags there. And I went and I asked the guy, and I go, what are the best game bags you guys have? Like, now, remember back then I'm poor. Like I'm buying like the 89-cent game bags.
Okay.
And I was like,
stuff.
yeah. And I spent the money and I bought these game bags. And I had no idea. I just remember that they sounded cool because they said Caribou on them. And I was like, oh, that's very Alaska sounding.
Alaska right there.
Yeah.
That's Alaska.
So fast forward, I shoot my first moose. It's incredible. And the pack out was absolutely horrendous. We ended up having to like throw meat down a cliff. Okay. And then we have to, if you've never shot a moose, it was so big.
I have.
Yes.
And they are massive.
They're
it's
so big.
Like a dinosaur. The photos, videos, they
don't do it justice.
Don't do justice.
A hindquarter's the size of you.
Oh, 100%. They
know?
Are massive, and when it's down, you literally have to turn your head to see one end of the body to the other.
Yeah.
And then you realize, you're like, how are we going to get this out of here?
Exactly.
It can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah,
for sure.
You just look at it and you go, oh, my God.
Super overwhelming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So 2 days. It takes 2 days to get the meat out. Pack going back and forth, me and my buddy.
Okay.
And we we get it all down the mountain. These brand new Caribou Gear game bags, and I throw it down a cliff, and it's like rolling down. And I'm like, dude, this freaking meat's gonna be garbage because the bag's gonna be tore apart, obviously, and all the rocks and dirt and everything gonna be nothing. Like the tiniest little like scratch on the bottom of one bag, and I was like, holy shit, what are these made out of? Like this is amazing. And the thing is, we hiked into where we're at. We're in the middle of East Jesus. Weight is very important. These things weigh like as much as a feather. I mean, they're super light. They're not the big, heavy like canvas game bags that your old grandpa had that weigh 50 pounds. And fast forward, I still have a couple of those bags. I did wear a couple of them out. I think on the last elk hunt, James and I shot a bunch of elk in Montana.
You don't have to brag.
Yeah,
dude, a lot of use.
They have honestly, they've packed hundreds of animals in that one set. And I wash them and I reuse them. I bring them home. My wife gets super pissed. There's hunks of meat in the wash machine because I don't ever clean them out good enough.
Well, tip, you don't have to use a washing machine. You can do a 5-gallon bucket, add some hose water and like dish soap or OxyClean.
Okay.
And it comes out just fine.
Yeah.
You can also actually, if you have some other stains or anything, toss some bleach in there with it.
Okay.
And you can bleach our bags. It doesn't
really
damage it or anything. No.
That's a pro tip.
That might help out there in the relationship.
Yeah, we like to push the envelope with our spouses. So.
But that's why we're here. So when James and I were talking about, who do we want to work with, and I was like, these guys. This is non-negotiable. And I literally, I think I stalked, probably to the point of like, I could have got a restraining order, but stalking you guys. And I'm like, hey, I love your game bags,
huh?
And I beat you guys in submission, and now we're here. So
okay.
Well, when we first started Bear Country, we had a kind of a motto that we wanted to stick to, which was we're only going to work with companies we want to work with. Yeah. If someone throws money at us or is like, hey, I'll give you all this free shit if you come work with us, if we don't have any interest in it, we're not going to do it. That's happened. Okay. So we have specifically chosen only brands that we respect and believe in and want to work with, and that's why we're here.
Yeah,
perfect.
And funny thing, when we first showed up, and I'd never met you before, I didn't know what you looked like.
Likewise.
Right.
I didn't know
and
what
I
to
walk
expect.
in,
It's always a little awkward.
Yeah.
Hi, internet's friend.
and I just go up to obviously you and your dad look alike, right? And your dad's wandering around right behind us in the cool cowboy hat, and I'm like, look, who's this handsome fellow over here? And I'm like, are you Ted? And he's like, yeah.
I'm like, depends who's asking.
Right. Kind of looming over here.
Yeah, I'm like,
And then we get to come in your booth, and honestly, you guys have a lot more stuff than just game bags. So you had sent me a belt.
yeah.
And I have all sorts of belts, obviously. And as far as like me owning the gun shop, right? I carry a firearm quite a bit, and it's just the right amount of stiffness and rigidity where you can like carry your firearm in a holster.
Yeah.
But you can sit down, like I'm a kind of big fluffy guy, and I'm sitting there, I'm 275 on the hoof, right? And like it's not uncomfortable to wear like a standard, like big, heavy, thick leather belt. It's not that rigid.
Totally. It's a 1.5 inch width,
Yeah.
and it's great. All of our products are just designed by Self-Guided Hunting Alaska. To go back to your story way back in what?
2011, I think.
Okay, so my dad started the company in 2008, but it really started way even before then. He went to Alaska in 2001 on a DIY hunt, and it was once in a lifetime, right? It always is once in a lifetime. I'm doing it once.
That's what I tell my wife.
So it was a once in a lifetime hunt, and the only option back then were the canvas game bags, and because it's tough and all this.
Right.
But in Alaska, September, moose hunting, rainy season, it holds moisture.
Right.
They got a moose. Very fortunate. He actually got a Boone and Crockett all time.
Oh, wow.
First day.
On a do-it-yourself.
Oh, yeah.
hunt.
Oh, my
gosh.
And they get this moose down. They put it in the canvas bags, and the canvas bags got soaked. They stayed wet. They struggled to keep that meat clean. I mean, because when you're in Alaska, too, and you do these hunts and you're out in the field multiple days, like people don't really realize how important it is to just keep things dry. And when you have an animal down, the work really begins, because that's where it's like, okay, how are we going to let this meat age properly? How are we going to cool it down? How are we going to keep it clean?
Yep.
And that's where the canvas bags, it was really tough. It just, every ounce counts, especially in Alaska. Any backcountry hunts, like, you know that. So the canvas bags, he's like, well, there needs to be a better option. Another part of that story actually was once they had the moose down, they were hanging up in the meat pole, and wolves were picking at it and going at it.
No.
Oh, my gosh.
And so a story into why we have light reflective tabs on our game bags was because of that. He was trying to get a flashlight like 100 yards away the meat pole was from the tent, and he was trying to locate the bags, and he's like, I don't know where I can't see them. I don't know if a bear got to him, a wolf, like what happened.
Right.
So fast forward a couple years later, he's like, well, you know what? Maybe we'll stick with the canvas game bags, but I'll just sew some light reflective tabs on it. It has like a safety feature. Well, same thing happened again. Wet, heavy game bags. They're big, bulky. So he wanted to come out with this fabric that hasn't been designed yet, that's tough, lightweight, reusable. And that's why like our game bags are patented. And a lot of it comes down to just fabric. Fabrics are huge.
Right.
So our fabric actually started from a liquid state, and it's formulated to what you see here today, or what you feel. So the fabric is supposed to act, feel, and breathe like cotton, but there is no cotton in it whatsoever. It's a nylon synthetic blend still, but it doesn't have the same nylon properties. Like when you wear something that's nylon, it doesn't breathe, it gets muggy.
Yeah.
Our bags are actually designed to wick away that moisture and let the meat age properly.
They dry instantly too when they're
wet.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest key. So we did launch in 2008, but it was the years of research and development that went into the process of what Caribou Gear really was. And yeah, I know I'm talking right now, but the mastermind behind it definitely is my father. When it comes to the artwork, our logo was actually from a caribou that he shot.
Really?
And then he just green screened it, flipped it over. So all of our packaging cards, our logo, anything you see here is all designed by that man over there.
He's just out of frame. He is selling like a son of a bitch right now. He
is
just working the crowd. He is.
He loves it. He loves talking to people. He's definitely a family man.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's crazy to see from when we first started in 2008 to where we are now. The background there was he was a paint contractor, and then 2008 happened, hard times like that.
Right.
And I remember him sitting me down when I was a little kid, and he's like, hey, and, you know, being a little kid, you don't really know the situation. I think I was like 13.
Okay.
13, yeah.
So you're old enough to kind of grasp.
At that time, though, it's like I played competitive baseball.
Okay.
So I was doing that a lot, and it was just, it was, he sat me down, and he's like, hey, we're going to have to sell the pop-up, and we're going to do this, and I'm going to start this new business. And you're like, all right, whatever. He's like, so things are going to be tough. Like,
Right.
I don't know what that means, but
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
looking back now to how that was, and you're like, wow, that was a risk, because he just had his little book.
Right.
He's like, well, I think this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to start, and I think I'm going to pick this product first. That was basically what happened.
Huh.
And looking back now as you get older, you're like, man, that was some risky stuff right there.
Right.
But he was passionate. And that passion is what goes into all of our products. You see this product here, and it wasn't just like, oh, well, next year we're going to design this. No, this product was 5-8 years in the making that he designs it, he feels it, and it's like, well, feels good, but it's too noisy. Or, I don't like this, so now we're going to go back to the drawing board. And sometimes it gets frustrating. So we're like, hey, I think this one's perfect. And he's like, yeah, it is, but it's not. And there's one little thing that we need to tweak on it. So we're going to push it back a few more months from launching or doing certain things. So the quality is first. Like Caribou Gear, we're all about our quality. We're all about great customer service. We want to help and make a difference. It's not I mean, we don't want to make a cheap product.
I think.
Well, and you guys could probably sell a ton more if you made cheap stuff, right? But you're not going to feel good about it.
The tough thing is, too, though, like, if I sell you a crap product, you're not going to want to come back.
No.
You're not going to want to,
one and
like,
done, right?
Yeah, you're going to tell your hunting buddies.
Yeah,
and they're going to tell their hunting buddies and be like, oh, I bought this, and it fell apart. Or it didn't do exactly what they said it was going to do. So there's definitely, like, our main thing was let's please our customers, because when it comes to guys or females in the hunting industry, they have hunting partners too.
Right.
And that's campfire talk. They go hunting together, and they're like, dang, what is that? That thing works.
I open people's mouth. I'm shoving game bags down their throat. I'm like, your game bags suck. Get them out of here, you know. And it's true, because I use your game bags.
Now our circle only uses Caribou Gear.
Literally, like if you don't use them, get out. The meat tarp. So we have a fantastic butcher back home on Camino Island. John Tuss is his name. He's like the little Keebler elf. He's a little tiny guy. His ears stick straight out. Stands with his hands on his hips, and he looks up at you and he points like this. Okay. And he will tear you a new one when you bring in dirty meat. I mean, he's literally a quarter my size. I'm afraid of him. You know.
Oh yeah.
And so I got one of your meat tarps. And because he's like, bring a tarp. And I'm not bringing this blue, loud. It always rips. It's gross. It smells. It's hard to clean. And your meat tarp was a game changer for me. And then I didn't know this when we come in here. So we're sitting in the Western Hunt Expo right now. And you guys have a new product, which I'm not going to lie, I'll probably use as a meat tarp as well. But it's like a tarp / tent / multi, because it kind of looks like the same.
Yeah, it's a multi-use shelter. It's a 7x8 tarp. Has guy line attachments already. We include 2 more tent stakes that are included on it, and you can use it in an A-frame situation. Glass underneath. You're more than welcome to process meat on it too.
And what's it called?
It's the Hunter's Tarp Montana.
Okay.
So we have the smaller one now is going to be the Colorado now.
Okay.
And then we're eventually going to come out with the Alaskan as well, which would be a step
bigger.
larger.
I love this idea because so James and I are in Montana hunting this last year. So we're looking up at this. It's set up as like a tent, right?
Mm-hmm.
This tarp, because it had, again, he says, has like guy lines and tie-offs and everything. The tie-offs are worth a gajillion dollars when you're in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
We got caught in a couple of snowstorms when you can just pull your meat tarp out and it turns into a tent and you're not getting crapped on.
Or a little cover.
Yeah, a little cover, or if you want to put like a sunshade or something, you could tie it off to the trees because
I've
it's got
used
a
it
little
as a
tie-offs.
sunshade in August,
Yeah, like, because obviously we hunt a lot of bears, right? And
Totally.
it's hotter and hot in eastern Washington. Like, that's going to get used a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty excited about
Yeah.
getting that out in the field this year.
I think a good quality tarp is one of those things that is often overlooked.
100%. Yeah.
It's becoming a necessity to have in your pack, though.
For sure. I
Like,
mean,
I think.
it's a must-have. I mean, some people, it's a little big, bulky for the 7x8. That's why we have the personal shelter one. I mean, that one's 4.9 ounces.
Right.
That one's easy to just toss in your pack, set
Yeah.
it, forget it. I mean, it's not one of those options that when you're in camp, you're like, oh, I have a long hike. Do I take it? Do I don't? Like,
Right.
it's still light enough, compact enough to be like, oh, yeah, I'm taking this thing for sure, and I'm going to find multiple ways to use this.
It's
And
part of my
just-
kill kit
It
now.
works.
Yeah.
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 It's very easy just to know that you have it and to take it and not worry about size or weight with it. So
That and you had talked me into, I remember when I first talked to you and I was telling you about the rifle shop, you had talked me into you guys' gun cover, and I was like, I'm not a gun cover kind of guy,
okay.
I
I don't know if I actually talked you into that because you called me the last time and you were asking questions
I,
about it. So
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not sure I did.
I bought a bunch of them. I saw. So we were on Randy Newberg's podcast, and he I think he had mentioned it to us, and we had
Okay.
seen his commercial, and then I started rocking one, and I liked it, and it not a lot of stuff surprised me, but I was like, I don't want, because you don't want to pack extra stuff ever, right?
Totally.
Right.
But I don't even use it. Like, I use that to throw it in my truck instead of a soft case now.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps like all the dust and the junk and the debris and everything else, but it keeps it from getting scratched and banged and bumped. I'm a multi-purpose guy, right? So that's why I'm so excited about the tent tarp, and that's why I love your game bags as well, because I use them all the time for everything,
Oh, yeah.
So that was a really nice surprise that I didn't expect it to be as handy as it was. And I have a lot of guys now, especially in the gun shop, what is that?
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, if you haven't used one, it's a game changer. And we run a lot of suppressors, and it fits over the cans, which is really, really nice.
It'll house that, and it has, with that internal adjustment system too, it has a wide range of rifles that it will fit from 36 to 56 inches in length. So, and it has that TPU waterproof coating on the inside, so it does also, if it's raining or anything, it'll still keep your rifle dry.
Right.
But
if
yeah,
you're a quad hunter, it's a great cover to have on.
yeah, for dust, we include those straps
Right.
that you can put on like the front and the back of the scope, so you're not worried about dust in that regard too. If you're packing in, you can strap it to your frame,
Right.
so it's not banging all around while it's on your shoulder.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the stuff that we try to design have that multi-use stuff on it, like kind of that. When you're talking about the suppressor, we actually now added a suppressor pull on it. I don't know if you
Really?
guys
No,
has
I hadn't
that or
seen
not.
that.
So you see that little kickoff there?
Oh, yeah.
On the tip of the barrel, so it's like little rubber and so it just slides right off.
You guys
easier on that.
are always working on your stuff, aren't you?
Yeah,
I like that.
little tweaks.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in the field for a long time, or Alaska or whatever, you find things, you're like, well, how can I use this in a different way and make sense of it?
Right.
When it comes to our game bags, I take a little camp meat bag, and instead of, I put like my down jacket in there, and I use it as my pillow at night.
Oh, that's smart.
Just a little bag, and I'm like,
Pro tip for backcountry hunters.
Yeah.
I just a little down jacket or vest, and
I
I'm like,
actually-
oh, cool, nice little pillow.
No,
You
that's
can
a
ask
great
James.
idea.
We fly in, we unpack in the hotel, and my little ditty bag that I got has like all my deodorant, toothbrush nonsense, and it's your green Caribou. It says ditty bag.
The
on it.
Caribou Gear ditty bag. Yep.
It's so nice and it's so handy because my sister had bought me one like years ago, and it said like some Fabergé or some, I don't know what the heck it said on it, but it was like it's a little more manly now that I have this cool green ditty bag, and it's got a nice zipper and it's tough, and but again, super lightweight. And
to be honest with you, when we first came out with that one, I wasn't too sure about it. I've never used something like it. But it was, I got to give it a shot. So I actually went to Australia a few months ago, and I took one of our Koyukon 90-liter duffel bags. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try it. I'm going to keep things organized and see how it goes. And the ditty bags work perfectly because it's like, okay, socks and underwear in one, shorts, T-shirts in another one. And you separate it all out, especially when it comes to duffel bags or suitcases and things just get hectic. I did that. I landed, and you're like, sweet. You just toss them in the shelves or do whatever, even at hunt camp, you just toss it, and you're like, all right, these are all my T-shirts. These are all my socks, my underwear. Everything's all organized. When it comes to your pack, I feel like a lot of packs are kind of going away from, like, storage space and pockets. So it's like, well, I got my protein bars, my protein powder in one. I have, like, my kill kit, other things. And it's just, I don't know. Now that I've done it, I'm like, I can't believe I didn't use these before. Like, how did I not use this? So, yeah, they're just nice little things that just make sense. It's just common sense.
Well, those duffels too, real quick.
The Koyukon, right?
Koyukon.
Yeah. It's K-O and then Yukon. But
awesome.
We've had a bunch of different like waterproof type bags and stuff because obviously we Montana, Alaska. I used to go fishing up in Critter Cove, and it's like a 19-mile boat trip. So you take all your stuff and you got to put it on the boat, and it's raining, and it's always getting water and wet. And that was surprising how much nicer it is than because I had like some Cabela's ones, and nothing against Cabela's, right? But the quality of that was surprising how nice it is. I mean, it's incredibly rugged.
It's
built-in backpack.
Yeah, the backpack straps, carrying handles, has 3 external zippers that are fully submersible, has a lot of light reflective properties, so like the logo, the fishing rod holders that are included are also light reflective. I'm sure you've used the zipper lubricant on that. Those waterproof zippers, though, they can be tricky. We designed that by self-guided hunting Alaska again. It was we took. Back in the day, it was the Cabela's ones that had like the little flap over the zipper, and you're like, it's great, but if something falls in or it gets flipped upside down and it's raining, you're in for trouble. In Alaska or any backcountry hunt, once you're wet, you are.
That's it.
That's the most miserable thing that you could ever ask for. The duffel bags. We started that one about 2.5, 3 years ago now. And we're finally, getting on it, pushing it. The air release valve, I think, is one of the things that really separates us. Have you used that at all?
No, tell me about that.
You don't even know. You have a 40-liter.
I know.
Chris isn't the best about testing every little aspect.
Well, I'm the hammer. Like, I'm using it, right?
Okay. Hey,
so
I get it.
I got to be explained things.
So when we did it for when you're on bush planes or loading up stuff, but that air release valve, you see that little kicker right there?
Yeah.
You open that up. When everything's all closed, and you can compress all the air out of it. So if you have clothes or anything, so it just makes it airtight.
And
you
then
compress
you close
things
it?
more, and you just tighten it up and close it. That's it.
Freaking genius.
And it keeps it nice and tight, smooth. You don't have to worry about things moving around in there. But and then for the bush planes and all that stuff, it's perfect.
Are you sure mine has that?
I swear it has it.
I don't know.
Son of a gun.
We'll have to test it. We have it sitting right behind it.
Dang it. Yeah, we've been packing it around the show.
I promise you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm even more excited now. Thanks for pointing that out.
Well,
if someone's going to go to Caribou Gear, I'm guessing caribougear.com, right?
caribougear.com.
And they can buy all your stuff online.
Yep, all of it. Yeah, the game bags, bottles, duffel bags. I mean, we even sell Jetboil, Kinatrek boots, Peak, Mountain House, freeze-dried meals. Yeah.
All sorts of stuff. One-stop shop.
Yeah, yep.
Which is awesome.
That's super awesome.
You can also find them in a lot of the retail stores like Cabela's. I know sells, at least our Cabela's sells them.
Yeah, all the Cabela's, Bass Pro, Sportsman's Warehouse, Shields, all the big box stores. At least carry the game bags. Maybe not the whole lineup of things, but for
I
the
see
main
you guys
game
in
bag
some
stuff.
small little places.
Yeah,
even like
we'll be in mom
like
and pop
Cantrell
shops.
Outdoors.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's in Cantrell Outdoors.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and when we first started out, it wasn't. I mean, you don't just land a big box store.
Yeah.
Go back a little bit now. When my dad actually started it, he was traveling the circuit, just going to any mom and pop shop that there was, and he was actually sending money back just to pay bills. Because all this investment, all this money went into starting the company.
Yeah.
to where it was like, all right, I'm going to, sell a couple cases of this store, get in the store. And it just seeded, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then people started talking. Magazines started reaching out to us like, hey, this is a new and exciting thing. You don't have to pay. Just we want to write an article. Throw some photos in there. And from there, it was trying to just hound these big box stores.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually, one of the Sportsman's Warehouse buyers, he called my dad Crazy Ted. That was his nickname. Because he just wouldn't stop. He was just hounding, like, hey, these are the best. These are the best. I promise you. So he would call, set up a meeting, laid everything out, showed him everything. And they, fortunate enough, he had his meeting, flew back home, and it was like, hey, did you see we got an order from Sportsman's Warehouse? And he's like, what? And it was this huge order, and we're like, well, we need some funding in order to even produce that amount of product. And Sportsman's Warehouse actually sent us some funding on that to go
That's awesome.
in production for getting them all that product. So it was
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was. Looking back, you're like, man, that's crazy. From starting in the basement to then the garage, and then we moved out to a commercial space, and then we just bought a new warehouse a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
So looking back to see that, you're like, man, that was crazy. And I played, so it was through high school. We were packaging the game bags. We still do, actually, but we were packaging them, folding them, do all of that, stuff them.
You're a good folder because they're very nicely packaged.
Dude, I when I put them back, they don't look that
They
good.
do not look like that, yeah.
They still fit back in the bag, but.
Yeah, I can fold all these now just because growing up it was like, all right, we're packaging our products and doing this. And you're like, man, that's crazy. So New Year's Eve, holidays, I would get home from school and you would just be packaging away. Oh, we have to get an order out. We have to do this.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
So it was probably not the most exciting things, especially when, I'm a teenager or growing up. But being able to see it from the start, where it is now, going to trade shows since 2010, just being around the hunting industry, it's cool. You learn a lot. I've learned so much about business that you just don't even learn in college.
Yeah.
Right.
And just being personable, knowing how to communicate with people is huge. So,
Right.
Everyone in your booth, your dad,
my fiance.
Your fiance?
Yep, that's my mom over there. Yeah, we are a true family ran and operated business.
100%.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we take pride in that too. We do outsource some things, but yeah, for the majority of it's us, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we want to make a difference. We want to help people and obviously push Caribou Gear so people can actually see what we do.
Right.
So,
well,
you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah, we're looking forward to getting some more stuff out in the field. Again, you guys can look them up they're on the Instagrams as well.
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. It's just under
follow them on
Caribou Gear.
Instagram.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Pretty simple.
Give them a follow. If you guys have any questions, you can obviously call Ted anytime. I'll give you his personal phone number after this. But we do use a lot of their products. You can send us a message at Bear Country as well. And
to be fair, I didn't even give you my number. You stalked me. I don't even know how you found it.
all right.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for having me on. And it was really nice to finally meet you guys.
Absolutely.
I didn't know what to expect. Every time I hear you on the phone, it was just this deep, raspy voice. And I'm like, oh. And then you show up, and you're like a big teddy bear. You're like, oh, okay.
That's true.
He seems personable. He seems like a nice guy.
We've definitely appreciated you guys as well. So thanks for letting us use your booth.
Yeah,
of course. Anytime. Yeah, we're here, man. So
awesome.
Let me know what you need.
Absolutely.
Well, go follow Caribou Gear on Instagram. Look them up online. Go shop on their web store. Support a local family-owned company. And until next time, stay humble, hunt hard.